like 100 seats empty at the front, and everyone's going to be standing at the back, and it'll be a mess. So come further forwards. The further forwards you are, the more you enjoy the lightning talks. You can see people better. If you've got any like rotten tomatoes, you can throw them at the speakers more easily from the front. Like all of these sorts of things. Hooray! Oh, thanks, everyone. Actually, people doing what I'm suggesting. That's amazing. There you go. No, they'll be all right. If you're giving a lightning talk, you know, it's even better if you're sitting at the front. That's a good idea. Yeah. Well, I'll come over and look at it every so often. Yeah. Okay. Guys, come close to the front. The closer to the front you come, the more easy it will be for loads of people to come in later. Look at all this lovely front row that's empty here. If you were sitting in the front row, you would enjoy the lightning talk so much. So much more than in those bad seats at the back. Come on, come forwards, it'll be better. No, they'll be fine. Yeah. Come forwards, everyone, come forwards, close to the front. It'll make it much easier to fill the room. Think of it as helping out the people who are going to arrive late. Here we go. Lightning talks. Are you excited about that? Lightning talks are like the best part of the whole conference. Come on, obviously. Apart from the meeting people and solving their problems and learning new things, lightning talks, then regular talks, then all the socializing. That's terrible. I hate that. Thank you, guys. That's excellent. You can have the actual front row. The front row, too, is really good. Very brave guy there. There you go. All right, the front row. Nothing bad will happen. I promise there's no audience participation. All right. You want to wait? Conference, it's time to tweet them or text them now saying the lightning talks are going to start. The lightning talks are the best bit. Come on in here. Who here has never been to lightning talks at a tech conference? 1, 2, 3. All right. Plenty of people. All right, guys, this is like the best bit, totally. Really short talks about really odd things, sometimes really boring things, sometimes really exciting things, usually really exciting things, sometimes very strange things, sometimes funny things, sometimes demos that go atrociously wrong. All of this anything could happen at this point, anything. It's magical. How's everyone been enjoying the conference so far? Yeah. It's all right, we'll wait for more people to come in the room, and we'll do that again. We'll call that a practice. That was pretty good. There you go. How'd you guys enjoy Ola and Ola's keynote this morning? Like, that is... Yeah. Yeah, that was, like, refreshingly different, I have to say. Like, that's just absolutely wonderful. Come to the front, everyone. Yay, the front is the best place to see the lightning talks. Hooray. OK. So start preparing. Like, the first person I've got on my list over here is Austin Bingham. Austin, where are you? OK. You want to come up here and maybe wire up your laptop, just make sure it works? The next person after that is Fran Fernandez. No, we swapped them. There you go. Max Tepkiev. Max Tepkiev. I apologize for mangling your name. Actually, I've practiced all of the names in all the different foreign languages, so whenever you hear me pronounce someone's name, you should know that that's exactly how it is pronounced. Absolutely true. So, Tepkiev. Max, come to the front so that you're like really easily ready to start for the next thing. Lightning talks are great. They're like 5-minute talks about exciting topics interspersed with about 5 more minutes of faffing around going, oh, why doesn't the dongle work? I don't know why. What's the resolution? Where's the window for where you change what displays on which? So like, and that's 5 minutes in between each one. It's a sort of repetitive, relaxing routine.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
All right.
All right, am I on?
There you go. So
Okay.
that seems like it works?
Looks good enough.
All
yeah,
right.
It's as good as it's going to
let's
get, I
just
think.
let it, we'll probably give them a couple more minutes.
5 minutes, is that the... 5 minutes is the...
Yeah, maybe 2 minutes. Ah, don't do that. Oh, my God.
No, but I have 5 minutes for the talk.
Yeah, you have 5 minutes for the talk. We're just going to let a few more people come in, and then we'll kick off. Hooray, welcome, everyone. Come to the front. There's like a whole row of seats at the front. There'll be amazing seats. Come forwards, come forwards. It'll make the people behind you find seats more easily. Hooray! Lightning Talks, you've come to the right room. This is going to be the best thing of the whole conference yet, apart from Ola Renault's talk and all the people that you met and all the other talks that were actually better and all the bits where you didn't have to listen to the sound of my annoying voice. Hooray. Come in, come in, come in, come in, come in. Quick, quick, quick. Walk fast but safely. Lots of seats in the front row here. Yay, the front row. Come on. Crane your neck. Feel like you're part of the conference. Get right up and intimate and in touch with it all. Again, please? Exactly, you're not, Jakob, so please come and sit in the front row and heckle harder. Come in, everyone. There's loads of seats at the front. Quick, quick, quick. Come on, come on, come on. We're going to start. It's going to be amazing. Hooray, but we were waiting just for you guys. We can't start without you. But now the party can begin. Lightning Talks. All right. And I think that might be pretty much it. All right. How is everyone enjoying their conference so far? Okay, amazing. Well, thanks all of you for being here. Thanks for coming to the Lightning Talks. The Lightning Talks, the best part of the whole conference, apart from all the other bits that you like. Without any further ado, let us introduce Austin Bingham, who's going to tell us about...
Cosmic Ray, mutation testing for Python. Hi, I'm Austin. I've only got a few minutes, so let's kick it off. What is mutation testing? Some of you might have heard of this. It's an idea that's been around for a long time, 30, 40 years in various researchy forms, and is a really interesting thing. So, the idea behind mutation testing is that you take your existing code base that you presume works to some degree, and you make small, controlled changes to it. In some sense, random changes, but not random, but random-esque. You then run your test suite, which presumably passed before you made the small change to your code base, and then you see if your test suite fails. The idea is that if it doesn't fail, then you've got a test suite that's not adequate to detect all the possible things that could break in your code. This is the theory of mutation testing. Really, one of 3 classes of things can happen when you do this. One, what they call killed. Your test suite can detect the change and fail, in which case they say you've killed the mutant. Another possibility is that you get what's called an incompetent mutant, which goes into, for example, an infinite loop. You make a change that causes it to spin forever. This is one that your test suite hasn't really failed, but it has no chance to detect that the change has been made because the test never ends. The final thing that can happen, of course, is this is what you don't want to happen, is that your test suite doesn't detect the change, and we say that the mutant survived. And the goal of mutation testing is to calculate a survival rate, essentially, and you want that to be 0. You would like, in principle, for your test suite to detect all possible changes to your code, and this is what mutation testing does. Systematically mutates your code and then runs your test suite to find these kinds of problems. So this is not unique to Python. This has been done in many languages. Most notably, Java has a very powerful mutation testing tool. When I learned about mutation testing, of course, my natural instinct was to make it work for Python, so I set out to do that. The basic approach is pretty simple. You have Adam, he's my package of choice. Of course, you want to mutate Adam, the first person, depending on what religion you are. And then you have a bunch of mutation operators, and these are predefined. Things like deleting arithmetic parts of subtrees of arithmetic operations, or replacing break with continue, things like that. So these are the flavor of the kinds of mutations that you might apply. And finally, you have some test suite there at the end that you run. So it's kind of a triply nested loop. You have for each module in your package, A, B, and C in this case. And for each mutation operator and for each potential site, each place where that operator can be applied, you have this sort of triply nested loop. You then run your test suite, and this, of course, can take a very, very long time. But that's the basic algorithm of mutation operation. So how do I do this in Python? What was really joyous about this entire project is I found really all the pieces were in place already. When I approached it, I thought this is either going to be impossible or actually really fun, and it turned out to be really fun because all the little bits and pieces you need to do this exist in the standard library or in really accessible third-party libraries. The AST module, obviously, is what we use for manipulating the abstract syntax tree, so we actually recompile on the fly the modules that we're mutating, and then we walk the syntax tree and just start ripping things out and mutating them and throwing them away. And that's how we mutate the code sort of in real time. We use the compile command to recompile abstract syntax trees into modules, and we stick them back into place in the sysmodules map. We use multiprocessing primarily for sandboxing. This guarantees that no matter what the mutation does, it can't somehow bork the rest of your program. And so multiprocessing is not what we use for concurrency, we just use it for sandboxing. We use a library called Pika for concurrency, which is an actor implementation in Python. And it's a wonderful library. If you've never used Pika, try it. The author might be here, and you can pick his brains about it. But it's a really, really wonderful library that I've used multiple times to great effect. I mentioned, well, I didn't mention sysmetapath, but we have to manipulate sysmetapath to put in our own loader. Finders and loaders are parts of the import subsystem. If you don't know about them, you can learn about them. They're really interesting, maybe not from a practical point of view, but if you want to know the guts of Python and how a lot of the import stuff works, you can read about this in the various PEPs. And finally, we use unit tests for test discovery. We essentially say, there's the test directory, just scan it and find all the tests. We plan to support more test systems. We do support PyTest, at least nominally right now. I'm pretty sure it works, but I'm not positive because I don't use it all that often. But it was something that was requested quite widely, so unit test and py.test, both supported right now. It works. Interestingly, it actually seems to do its job. We have a reasonably sophisticated test suite that seems to keep us in check, and we've run it over really large code bases, for instance, the hypothesis unit test, or hypothesis testing system, and other tools. One of the problems with mutation testing is it takes a very, 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 very long time for any significant sort of code base. And so some of the future work is going to be in improving that, tying the mutation testing algorithm to coverage analysis tools, saying, okay, we've only changed this bit of code, so we only need to run these tests, which we know touch that bit of code. And that sounds easy, but it's actually incredibly difficult, because how do you know the mutation didn't cause the test to now touch this bit of code? You don't. So, yeah, okay. That's it. Join in. You can download it there.
All right. Thank you, Austin. Amazing. And then can I have, who's next? Fran Fernandez preparing up at the front. Fran, where are you? Excellent. All right. That was great. OK, so lightning talk rules. We have exactly 5 minutes. And what I'm going to do is to try and encourage the speakers to finish. If they hit their 5-minute rule, I put up one hand. And they then have to finish their current sentence and then finish the talk. And the way we do that is when I put up one hand, I want you guys to start clapping with your fingers. Can we practice that now, just to make like this noise? Just with the fingers. See? And then the speaker will hear that and go, oh, I'd better finish. And then when I put up both hands, you can full clap. Try that now. And then the speaker has to finish because no one can hear you anymore. There you go. That'll be great. Fine. How are you getting on? And we're ready straight away. You didn't have to hear any bad jokes. Amazing. There you go. Max, take it away. You're going to tell us all about...
So, hi, everyone. Instructions. Instructions are everywhere. They help us to do things right if we follow them as we should. Sometimes bad things can happen if we don't follow them properly. As programmers, we write instructions every day using Python to make a program do what we want it to do. But the problem is that sometimes we have to write a lot of code to solve even simple tasks. For example, imagine that you need to find all strings with a length of 3 inside a list. The most straightforward approach would be to write a simple for loop, nothing fancy here, just check if an item is a string and its length is 3, then this is what we are looking for. We can also write list comprehension to make it look neater. Now, what if our list also contains a list, which also contains a list? Smells like a recursion. We can write a recursive function to solve this task, and it will work. But the problem is that not all people understand recursion, because to understand recursion, you have to understand recursion, right? So yeah. So while it's a very simple task, we need to write quite a lot of code to solve it. We also need to take into consideration different Python versions, like if we want our code to be portable. And the thing is that we are writing this code again and again every day. We are searching for some values inside iterable data structures. And I just decided that maybe it's time to write some kind of a library which will do that for us. And I called it, as you might expect, instructions. So let's have a look at how our task can be solved with instructions. At first, we do the import, and because I'm a lazy person, I like to use the I alias, because it allows me to type less. And then it's as easy as to speak English. I'm asking instructions to find a string with a length of 3 inside a container. The results are returned as a generator object to be memory efficient, so we have to cast it to list to see the actual results. Now let's have a look at our more complex example, our container with a lot of lists inside. The code will be absolutely the same. Instructions will inspect all the nested iterable data structures, and it doesn't matter how deep they are or what type do they have. I mean, whether it's a list, a tuple, or dict, or something. Instructions allows you to control how deep it should search, how much results to return, and what data types to ignore during the search. An instruction is formed from a few simple concepts: a command, a data type, a filter, and filter arguments, and filter options. Now, when we understand these concepts, we can have a look at other examples. This is how you can find a string with a length of greater than or equal to 3, find any numeric, meaning an integer, float, and so on, that is between 5 and 10, count how many integers are there that are divisible by 2, find only the first list that contains both foo and bar, find last tuple, which has at least one string that contains a substring there, and so on and so forth. What we've seen so far was an example of an instructions basic mode, but there is also an advanced mode, which allows you to construct more powerful instructions. Here we want to count how many strings are there inside a container, which starts with foo and with bar, but don't contain yada. And as expected, the result is 1. Instructions can be installed as usual from PyPI or clone from GitHub. Instruction supports CPython from 2.6 to 3.4, PyPy and PyPy 3. Doesn't have any external dependencies. Extensive documentation is hosted to read the docs. Already comes with more than 100 instructions included. Instructions has 100% test coverage, but this is not just a number. While the package itself contains approximately 400 lines, tests have more than 3,600 lines of code. Yeah. Unit tests are awesome. So instructions supports almost all Python basic data types. It also tries its best to be clever and abstract differences between Python versions from you. And it also has aggregated data types like numeric, iterable, and more common in next versions. So this is it. I hope you're as excited as I am, and maybe you'll give this package a try. And who knows, maybe you'll never return to write in loops anymore. Thanks.
All right, and my instructions are that Fran should come up on the stage and prepare his talk. And then the next person after that is going to be Smart Fields, Mircea. Mircea, are you around here somewhere? Are you close enough to the front to be able to run up? Are you prepared? Are you ready? Are you excited? It's going to be amazing. All right. Fine. So the pirate programmer walks into a bar, and he's got like a parrot on his shoulder. And the parrot's going, pieces of 7, pieces of 7, pieces of 7. And the barman goes, I think there's something wrong with your parrot. And the pirate programmer says, yeah, he's got a parity error. And then the barman says, yeah, I thought he was a bit off. Thank you, I'm here all week. And give a big hand to Fran, who's going to tell us about the GDB.
So now, hi, GDB is your friend. I find very interesting debugging how Python works, so I'll try to explain in 5 minutes how can we explore how CPython works. So for do that, we have to compile Python. That is very, very easy. Probably you cannot see the the flags, but you have to enable debugging flags. That some of them are only available on GDB version 7 and so on. So we configure, okay. Checks a lot of things. Yeah. Oh, I have to buy a new computer. So slow. Now we compile using. Yeah, it's fast. And we install. Oh no, don't worry.
I like to make little noises like that.
But I find a very interesting way of learning the internals of Python. Just look in this screen and you learn a lot. But at least you know there's a lot of things there. Takes less. Okay.
I like being the matrix encrypted too.
Yeah, it's finishing. Yeah.
Hey!
Now let's say that we're interested in knowing, for example, how list is implemented in CPython. So one option is just messing around the files over the source code, and well, we're interested in knowing how append works on list. So we know this file is listobject.c, and the name of the function is listappend. Okay, we have some information. This is one way that we can start. So we run the Python binary using this flag to not load all the things and make the debugging more pleasant. Okay, we have an interpreter here. We can interrupt, and this is basic GDB. Probably most of you know how this works. And we create a breakpoint on list object list. We have autocomplete even. Okay, and we continue. Yeah, and we will append some stuff here. Append 1. So we enter in the breakpoint. We can explore the backtrace. It's probably not quite readable there, but we can know where is the entrance point on Python. It's in file python.c line 69. And we can trace back how for example, how it works. And we can go layer by layer and trying to go deeper there. We can also, okay, we are in this function. And we will check what happens there. We are in another function now. And we can go step by step and understand better what's happening there. For example, here it gets the size of the list to get where we need to append. It checks. It does a lot of checks because it's C. Okay. You have been in my talk here. Garbage collection is also taking care. We can go deeper and deeper. Yeah, and pretty much that. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. Welcome, my chair. All right. So, I wonder if I can use you while Miche is setting up to exercise a little fantasy of mine, which is that I always wished that I was a drum and bass MC, but I'm kind of like the wrong social class and skin color to really do that properly and convincingly. But since I've got a captive audience here, I think I might try it. A drum and bass MC, for people not from the UK, is a bit like a rapper, except that they have absolutely nothing interesting or of value to say, and instead their purpose is just to hype up a crowd. So in the next section, we'll do the drum and bass MC EuroPython lightning talk skit. But first, Mircea, who's going to tell us all about
smart feeds. So hi guys, first EuroPython presentation for me. going to talk about social media aggregation. Okay, most of us do that, or some of us do that, but the question is, then what? This is my background, and SmartFeeds is actually a social media aggregation project where we gather messages from multiple sources, like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and so on. We aggregate them, we display them in a single feed, and present them in the unified interface, like the one that you might have seen on the hallways on some of the TVs. Our setup is Python only, or actually almost. We run Django for the front-end app. We run it with Celery, CeleryBeat, RabbitMQ. We have distributed queues, specialized workers, aggregate them into Postgres with Elasticsearch, USG Nginx. And the fun part is that we process this. We use NLTK heavily. We put the data in a neural network and process that data using Cassandra and Spark. We have moderation, and this is where some of the NLTK stuff comes in handy. We try to filter out inappropriate content. Yeah, for conferences, this is not the case because the crowd is quite friendly here. We have also manual moderation. And we also are implementing a way to exclude, for instance, nudity from images. And we're thinking about having that on videos as well. OK, so what exactly can you do with all this data that you gather? You have an event like this one. Then what do you do with it? What we are trying to do is actually identify the people, try to track them, and try to group them together and see what they like, what they do not like. We have a neural network that matches everything. And based on that, we can, for instance, predict how a specific brand will behave to changes, what's the current mood of the people who like or dislike that brand based on changes that they do, and what can be improved. We use the same system, for instance, in gamification purposes, like internally even for this event, we'll see who had the most tweets, the most retweets. We'll provide this data back to the organizers, and yeah, provide analytics, aggregations with Elasticsearch, and that's pretty much it. We love questions, so if you have any questions about the project, please approach me on the hallway. Stay tuned, because part of these projects will be made open source, so everyone will be able to use that. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, hey, all the people at the back, why don't you come and sit down at the front? There's like 6 or 7 seats over here. There's about 8 or 9 down there. If you come forwards, you'll get a seat. Come on, come on, come on, come on. OK, who's next on our little schedule? We have string parsing by Peter Jabo. Jabo, you're here. Come on up and sit up. And while Peter's getting ready, is Rob Collins somewhere nearby? Are you? Where are you hiding, Rob? OK, are you ready? Would you want to come to the front? There you go. Guys, we sit in the second row for, hey, Flores. There. Hi, guys. Hey, you guys sitting at the back, come on, come to the front. There's loads of seats to the front. I promise that there'll be no audience participation. You don't have to answer any questions or anything. There you go. All right. Fine. So are you ready for the drum and bass MC bit? I have to pretend to have a microphone. It goes a bit like this. Bo! Oh my gosh! EuroPython massive! Everybody in the house! Oh, bigging up all my programmer crew, all my asparagus syndrome, autistic, staring at their feet, hyper-intelligent crew, all my ladies crew, all my science crew, all my web development crew, all my 2 people doing Kiwi mobile development crew. All of you massive! Are you having a good time tonight? Make some noise! Talk selector. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Da, 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 da. All right.
Almost.
Hands up who thinks I should switch career and move into drum and bass emceeing. Yeah, definitely, right? Yeah.
I hope you can read all my slides in here, and if you understand everything, then you can relax for the next 5, 10, 20 minutes. So I'm going to talk about some aspects of string parsing and the best practices I have discovered in the last couple of decades. So first, 0, if you have a library to parse your input, then use the library, like the standard JSON library in Python. Or find a library before you implement your own parser, especially for HTML. If in doubt, use regex. Like, don't try to call split lines and split and things like that. Use a regex, it can cover your syntax much better most of the time. Use the row string syntax. Raise your hand if you know what this R means. Okay. For the rest of you, the R makes it interpretation of the backslash different. So Python, when you have a string literal in Python, it interprets the backslash as an escape character, but also backslash is a special character in regex. So it prevents Python from interpreting the backslash, and the backslash goes directly to the regex library. In here, use re.findIter and things like that to find all the matches, and re.sub for substitution or replacement. These are standard ideas, but eventually, by the end of the slide, they will become complicated. You will see how to solve complicated problems with that. Also, it's a lesser-known feature that if you compile a regex, the search method and match method have an extra argument, which you can specify the first index of the string where to match. So you match the beginning of the string, then you can match the rest of the string with another regex. That's how it works. You just have to remember the index. That's very useful. If you have a nested structure like blocks or parentheses within each other, or like XML tags within each other, don't even try with regex. That would bound to fail. So you either need to maintain a stack yourself or find a real parser, which is beyond the scope of this talk. And the most important thing I discovered is that things tend to break, or we get incorrect results unless we pack all the syntax into a single regex. So I can show you how. The example is how to remove C comments from a C source file. So comments are between these two symbols. So this is a comment. Also at the end of the line, after / till the end of the line, that's also a comment. So we can remove the second type of comment with a regex substitution, but unfortunately it doesn't remove the first type. So we first remove the second type, and on the output, we remove the first type. But it will break. Don't try it, because it violates rule number 7. Because we have two regex. So it will break if there is a single line comment within a multi-line comment. So how do, and it will remove the word bar, and it shouldn't. So how do we do that? We merge those regex with an OR into a single regex and remove them together. That's the basic idea. And now there is a problem if there is a / within a string literal, so between double quotes. We don't want to remove comments within strings. So how do we do that? We add even more kinds of tokens to the regex. So we first have in here the single line comment. The second part here is the multi-line comment. This one is the character literal, like starting with an apostrophe. And the last part of the regex is the string literal, starting with starting with a double quote. And what happens if we have a backslash and a backslash and a backslash and a double quote, depending on the odd or even number of backslashes. But everything is covered in the middle here. Again, we have the backslash thingy and the non-backslash thingy separated by an OR. So everything is covered, and the solution is finally correct. I have hidden a space in the replacement string. And that's because if I remove, it has to be a long sentence from now. For this one has to be replaced by a space. And it's a homework how to figure out where to insert a space and where not.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't care if I've got like 100,000 lines of code. I think I would have done that by hand rather than try to understand that regex. That was amazing. So Rob and Fabian Kreutz. Fabian Kreutz, where are you? Okay. You're going to set up, I think, at the same time as Rob? Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right. There you go. Rob's actually going to do the first talk while Fabian sets up. So give it to Rob. Yep. Cursed dongles. Probably maybe. Could one of the little prongs be slightly bent? Come on up, Rob. Do you want a bit of help? Oh, look at him there with his chair. Oh, Rob, you look tired.
It's been a long trip. Oh, I don't like flying. To get to the airport and worry about which terminal you've got to go to once I went to the wrong terminal. And then having to get to the gate, and they give you about 20 minutes from the flight being announced to the gate closing, and you've got to get a train in that time, and supposing you get the wrong train, and it's all very, very stressful. And I find I really like staying at home, but too much work. I've worked for weeks and weeks, sat at the computer, crouching over, getting more and more stressed, trying to get a project finished before coming to EuroPython. And I think, what I need is a way to relax and not be so stressed. But I'm at a computer conference and there's no opportunity. I mean, all right, we're sitting in comfortable seats, but it's still lots of programs to attend at the right time. You've got to be there, and it's all more stress. So what I really would like is to have some opportunity for a nice, relaxing massage. But there isn't an opportunity at a computer conference, is there? No, but hey, wait a minute. That might well be possible, because on Wednesday evening, there is a meal. And possibly Thursday and Friday lunchtimes in the break, there might be an opportunity for a massage, a sponsored massage in aid of the Python Software Foundation. All you need is a few expert people able to do neck and shoulder massage. Somebody such as Fabian, who is going to demonstrate while I'm explaining what we're doing. Now, it's just perhaps... Oh, that's nice. Oh, dear. Oh. Your muscles between the shoulder blades particularly get very tense. And it's months of sitting in front of the computer that even a 3 or 4 minute massage can really help. And the problem is that there's too many people here for me to do it on my own, so I need some people to help. And tomorrow, at 4:45 in the exhibition area, we will be having a massage training session. So if you're interested to find out about massage and how it relates to computer programming, come along. Be prepared to join in. Fabian not only uses his thumb and fingers, but he will demonstrate using his elbow. So if you have weak thumbs and fingers, you've no need to think that you can't do it, because elbows are very good. My wife uses her elbow like that because her thumb's not strong enough. So come and find out and help raise money for the Python Software Foundation. We don't just need people who are able to do massaging. We also need people who are able to help raise the money to go and talk to people. Please don't stop. Able to go around the tables, say, give us some money. And more people may request not to have a massage and pay for the privilege of not having a massage than they would actually having a massage. And that's fine, because Python Software Foundation will benefit anyway. So please come along and find out why massage is such a good fit, and find out also why Python Software Foundation, that protects our intellectual property in Python, is a really good cause to be able to support in that practical way. Thank you.
I did Rob's massage course maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I really encourage you guys to go and check that out. He'll teach you how to do a really simple back massage. It only takes about 5 minutes to learn. You can really help people. You can use this skill at home or with your significant other. I definitely recommend it. 4:45 tomorrow, is that right, Rob? Yep, there you go. Which room? In the exhibition area, 4:45. Learn how to do a massage and later help raise money for the PSF, which we all love. There you go. Are you ready, Florian?
Yes. Okay, you can hear me? Okay, I'm telling a short story about extreme internationalization, and I start with a shameless plug. My name is Fabian Kreutz. I'm a newly baked entrepreneur, and I'm working on a storytelling role-playing game platform. I'm at the moment suffering a little bit from doing it all loneliness. I'm also looking for a partner, and that includes non-technical partners. But the story that I'm telling you... No. I didn't even realize that that meant that. No, that's not what I mean. My project is basically has three concepts. There is, of course, the code itself, which is in JavaScript, which is not a nice language, but at least it supports UTF-8 completely. And if you use libraries, you'll immediately end up with using English a lot. Then, as role-playing games go, there are different rule sets, and the rules have their original language, like, for example, German for a role-playing game called Das Schwarze Auge. Does anybody know that, for example? Nobody. There. Okay. But it doesn't even matter what the original language is, because it's translated into different languages. And then, of course, we have the adventure text itself, the part that isn't even part of the platform, but it is the content that is served by the platform. And some author will write it in some language, and I don't know which language that might be. And, of course, while this second language, the one of the rules, is the locale of the application that you are installing, you can download content of other languages as well, and they would then run in the language of the rules. And of course, the adventure content is not only text, but also some commands which use an API. And did I mention that there should also be a web interface, which also is internationalized? So we have now here 1 language, 2 languages. Well, this doesn't really count. I realized that only later. 3 languages, 4 languages. But although that looks a bit complicated, it isn't really that complicated. It is nicely separatable. The big question is now, in which language should I do the API? No, seriously, that was my big problem.
Basque.
Some people would use English simply because it's a de facto standard, but I'm a bit rebellious in these things, so instead of using English, I use, sorry, that's the wrong flag. I didn't use Finnish. That would be stupid because Finnish is spoken only by 5 million people. So instead I use Esperanto, which is also spoken only by 5 million people, but spread all over the world. And when I did that, I realized that, that this language barrier creates a very nice, clean separation in the same way as separating HTML and CSS as completely different languages. If you imagine CSS could also be an XML dialect, then it would look basically just like HTML, but it wouldn't give you this same separation. So as you can see here in my code, I have quite frequently the construction of my API as having the key in Esperanto, and then the function value would be somewhere in the code, which is mostly English. And the nice thing, as you can also see somewhere when there are lots of dots, you see immediately the border when you go over into the API. So from active, adventure, variables, context, vici-tinta, suddenly you realize, oh, I just slipped over the border. And I found this really great, and my and so my suggestion for you is use Esperanto in your APIs.
All right, amazing. What have we got left? Oh, fantastic. We have exactly one talk left. So Daniel, where are you? At the Daniel Pope. Yay. OK. And that is going to take us exactly into the next slot, which is the beer slot. So that'll do just fine. Hey, everyone at the back, if you want to come and sit down for exactly 5 minutes, there are great seats up at the front here. So I have a joke that takes about 15 minutes to tell. I could start telling it you now, and then if I do a little bit more lightning talks tomorrow, as if anyone would invite me back, I could tell you a joke that's like meant to take ages and really waste your time, and I could actually spin that out over 3 days. Who would like that? You idiots. Everybody else in here hates you now. OK. So this is a story about a Russian watchmaker who's nearing retirement. And he invites some of his watchmaker friends back. And he says, oh, I'm retiring, so I thought we'd try and decide what the most beautiful object in my shop is. Why don't you have a look around the shop, see all these old watches that I've got, and see which one you think the most beautiful is, or what the most beautiful part is. And so they're looking around, checking out all the watches, and eventually one of them goes, aha, I found it. And the Russian watchmaker comes over and goes, what have you found? What have you found? He goes, oh, I like the bracelet on this watch here. And the watchmaker goes, ah, yes, that is Gregor, the bracelet. This is how all Russian people speak. The Gregor, the bracelet is a fine bracelet. Why don't you tell me why you like it? And the guy goes, well, you know, I like the way it's like got silver links alternating with golden links, and I like the shape of the bracelet. And after all, if you don't have a bracelet, the watch would fall off your wrist. It's just not a watch. It's an essential part of a watch. That's why I think it's the most beautiful thing in the shop. And the watchmaker goes, yes, Gregor is a very beautiful bracelet, but I think not the most beautiful object in the shop. Are you ready, Dan? No. OK. That means you get more joke, everyone. Not the most beautiful object in the shop. And the second friend of his pipes up and he goes, ah, I know why. It's because this is the most beautiful object in the shop. And he points at a different watch. And the watchmaker comes over and he says, oh, what are you pointing out, my friend? He goes, I like the dial on this watch. He goes, ah, yes, that is Vanya, the dial. Vanya is a mighty fine dial. Why don't you tell me why you like it? And he says, well, I like the fact that it's got Roman numerals instead of like normal numerals. I think that's classic. I like where you've got little diamonds encrusted at least around the cardinal points. I like the plain black and white design. And if you don't have a dial, you can't tell the time. And that's why I think it's the most beautiful object. And the Russian watchmaker goes, yes, Vanya is a very fine dial, but I think not the most beautiful object in the shop. And they're like, oh, OK, right, well, so you obviously have an opinion. What do you think is the most beautiful object in the shop? And he goes, come with me. And he takes them to the back of the shop, and he shows them like a very old, common-looking watch. It doesn't look like anything special. And they're like, what? And he goes, look at this watch. Look closely. You see? You see? And they're like, no, what are you pointing at? He goes, I am pointing at the second hand, ticking around. Its name is Olaf. Olaf, the second hand. I think it is the most beautiful object in the shop because it's the first second hand I ever made. And without the second hand, you cannot tell the time. And that is why the most beautiful object. And you'll hear the rest of the story a little bit later. Take it away, Dan.
Okay. Okay, so, sorry, battery trouble. I'm going to talk about a library called Pygame Zero, which is a zero boilerplate games programming framework for education that I've written over the past few months. So to start talking about this, I'm going to briefly cover the background. There is a games programming competition called PyWeek. Who's heard of PyWeek? Okay, so this is a week-long games programming competition. It runs twice a year, but I won it in October 2014. Thank you. And for various reasons, it hasn't run yet this year, so I'm still the champion. Yeah. My winning game was called Legend of Goblet, and it's an adventure game. And one of the things that came out of this was like I wrote a scripting language because you've got like sort of tons of content to enter. This is a scripting language that is behind that game. I'm going to be talking on Friday about some of the writing domain-specific languages in Python. So to hear more about this kind of thing, come to that talk. Now, to show you the other thing that came out of this was I started this game using some ideas that have been kicked around through the education track at PyCon UK. Speaking to teachers, they told me that Pygame was too difficult to teach. Your most basic Python program, Pygame program, is like about 15 lines of Python. So I tried to take all of that out. So here's an empty file. So that has been written as demo.py. I could run it. It runs. It does nothing because it's an empty file. But at least it does some, you can demonstrate that you've got it installed. And then we might write a function called, say, draw. Okay, and I will run that. And it still did nothing, but because it's for education, it's got a, I don't know if you can see that, but it's got a spell checker. Oop.
Oh.
So, yeah. But if I fix that mistake, then it's 2 lines of code, and I've got a program that does something else. And so then I could add something else. I could say screen. Hey, I've got an alien. And where did that come from? It's in the images directory as alien.ping. I'm going to be sprinting on this in the sprints. I think the message here is that if you are targeting education, you have to make things stupidly simple. You have to remove every line of boilerplate you can. You have to add things like spell checkers, and you have to pay attention to the stack traces and the feedback that's going to allow beginner programmers to advance. One of the other things about this is that it is just Pygame under the hood. So there is the potential to progress from this training wheels approach to something that is that you could write something like Legend of Goblet in. That's what I've got to say.
Hooray! Thank you, Dan. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the lightning talk, so could you please give a massive round of applause to all of the speakers. Coming up next is a drinks reception and refreshments out in the main exhibition area. Any organizers, is there anything else I have to announce at this point, or can we all get on? Nothing? No announcements? Everything is fine? We probably need more volunteers. Actually, that's a good point. Do you need more session chairs and room managers? We definitely need that. So if you want to do session chairing or room managing, if you want to help run this conference just for half a day, go and find the registration desk, ask the organizers, volunteer to do a session chairing or room managing. We really appreciate it. Thanks for coming to this amazing conference. Enjoy this evening. 4 more days to go. It's amazing. Don't forget to stay for the sprints. Be kind to each other. Tip the waitress. Enjoy the pinchos. All of these things. Keep programming. Big love. And if anyone's found a red Nexus 5 phone, please hand it in. Red Nexus 5 phone, anyone found that? Yep, there you go. Lost property, registration desk. There you go. Python, 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 Python. Oh, it's over there, look, they've found it, over there, look, look. Red phone, red phone, red phone. There you go. Okay. Oh yeah, we'll tell you the rest of the joke tomorrow. All right, take the red to the registration desk, please. We take it to the registration desk. Thanks very much. Yeah.